thing that a person has to do to be saved. Now, they do have to be baptized, obeying from the heart that form of doctrine for the remission of their sins in the name of Jesus Christ. But that's not the only thing. Give insight of Jesus' teaching on this matter in Matthew chapter 23. What were some of the problems taking place in Matthew 23 with the scribes and Pharisees? All right. They were teaching one thing and binding that on others while they would do something else. And Jesus says in verse 3, therefore whatsoever they tell you observe, that observe and do, but do not do according to their works, for they say and do not. And then he says in the next verse, for they bind heavy burdens, hard to bear, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. He says in the next verse, but all their works they do to be seen by men. Where did they want to sit at the feast and in the synagogues? The chief seats. They wanted to be up there in the best seats. What else can you think? I'm just kind of tracking down through chapter 23. They need to humble themselves. They were very arrogant in what they do. Here in verse 14, for you devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayers. Therefore you will receive greater condemnation. Again, the idea of doing things to be seen. You go about on land and sea to make one proselyte. And when he is made, you make him twice as much a son of hell as yourselves. He calls them blind guides. They would say, whoever swears by the temple, it is nothing, but whoever swears by the gold of the temple, he is obligated. In other words, you can swear an oath, and depending on what you swear that oath against, it's okay not to keep it. And they would say that about the altar, but you let someone swear, about the temple, but you let someone swear by the gold of the temple, he better keep that. And again, it just shows over and over and over again throughout that chapter. That's probably one of, if not the most scathing excerpt that you read about Jesus in Matthew chapter 23. Jesus knew his precepts were weighty or heavy, metaphorically difficult to observe, but they could be kept. Matthew 23:23, 1 John. Did he grant the Pharisees the right to choose which ones they would keep? Well, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now we can run into a problem here if we're not careful. Well, I think this one's really important. I need to keep this one. Maybe this is not quite as important. No, if Jesus says do something, we better do it. He'll hold us accountable if we don't.